You're likely ingesting tens of thousands of microplastic particles, nanoplastics every single year, not from swimming in polluted oceans, but from literally drinking water, from consuming table salt, from tea bags, from food packaging, from the air inside of our own homes. In 2022, researchers detected microplastics in human blood. And this was a major problem because what microplastics have done inside the body is wreak havoc. This means that these particles are literally crossing the gut barrier, the blood-brain barrier. In 2021, microplastics were found in placental tissue, literally getting into our babies. So what this means is that exposure begins at birth. This is no longer a theoretical environmental issue, it's a biological issue. So here's a critical question. Are microplastics a catastrophic threat or a chronic stressor? How do we really manage it intelligently? What do we do about these nanoparticles and microplastics? Today, we're gonna break this down scientifically. What are they? What do they do inside the cells? How worried should we be about microplastics? And exactly what reduces exposure. And the goal is to do this without you getting paranoid, because longevity isn't about you stressing over everything and being in a state of panic all the time. That's anti-longevity, which is not what we're about on this channel. So it's really about reducing this cumulative insult that is really taking place in our bodies. So exposure is unavoidable. Accumulation and bioaccumulation of these microplastics is not. So I want to talk about what microplastics actually are and why size matters. Microplastics are plastic particles smaller than 5 millimeters, okay? Nanoparticles are even smaller. They're often measured in micrometers or nanometers, and that distinction matters because size determines biological penetration. So the large particles, they remain in the gut lumen and they get excreted through the colon. And nanoplastics, they ultimately cross intestinal epithelium, they enter circulation, they interact with immune cells, they possibly cross biological barriers under certain conditions. And so the way that these microplastics are originated is from the breakdown of larger plastics, right? Synthetic textiles, shedding fibers, bottled water packaging, food containers, seafood bioaccumulation, and ultimately airborne indoor dust. In 2019, there was an analysis of environmental science and technology that estimated that individuals may ingest tens of thousands to over 100,000 microplastic particles annually, depending on the diet and water source. So that is absolutely crazy. And the scale is not trivial. The real issue isn't just one exposure, it's the lifetime exposure and accumulation. Your body doesn't have a mechanism to really get rid of it naturally. So how the heck do microplastics interact with our biology? There are 4 primary mechanisms of concern. First, there's the physical particle burden, right? This is the foreign particles that can ultimately be taken up by macrophages. That process can generate ROS, which is reactive oxygen species, and localize inflammatory signaling locally in that particular area. Secondly, there's surface absorption. So microplastics can carry environmental toxins on their surface, including persistent organic pollutants, acting as transport vehicles. And third, there's endocrine disruption. Plastics and additives such as phthalates and bisphenols are well-documented xenoestrogens and endocrine disruptors. Phthalate exposure has been associated with increased mortality rates in epidemiological studies, and environmental pollutants in 2021 showed that these components can bind PPAR receptors, which interfere with estrogen signaling, alter lipid metabolism, and they also cause oxidative stress and inflammation. So environmental models show that microplastics actually increase ROS production, reactive oxidative species production, inflammation in your body. They activate natural killer cell pathways. The longevity science consistently identifies chronic low-grade inflammation as the driver, or one of the main drivers, of the hallmarks of aging in age-related diseases. Nature in 2019 showed that microplastics contribute to the cumulative inflammatory tone of the body. So this isn't just about acute toxicity anymore. It's about chronic friction. It's about the bioaccumulation of chronic inflammation in your body. So longevity isn't destroyed by a single insult of microplastics. It's eroded by repeated insults, day in, day out, unfortunately, which is exactly what's happening in today's day and age. So the placenta, the blood, the brain, how the heck does it get there, and how deep does it go? Microplastics have actually been detected in human blood. They've also been detected in lung tissue. They've been detected in placental tissue. What does this actually mean? It means particles are entering systemic circulation. We also know it's getting into the brain. It does not essentially automatically mean that there's going to be catastrophic diseases because of this, but it does confirm that there's biological access. Nanoparticles in other contexts are known to cross epithelial barriers, cross the blood-brain barrier, and ultimately interact with neuronal cells, endothelial cells. They trigger immune surveillance pathways. And so we don't yet have a large longitudinal trial that provide microplastics and the kind of connection they have to all these different diseases in humans. But we do know that chronic inflammatory burden and endocrine disruption increases risk of a lot of different diseases over decades. And we're talking about cancer, Alzheimer's, heart disease, stroke, etc. So this is a trajectory issue, right? This is like something that we need to get ahead of before it causes other problems. So how worried should we be about this? This is where I think we should stay rational. We're not dealing with cyanide, right? We're not dealing with something that's like major problem and it's a poison that's going to kill you immediately. We're dealing with the chronic exposure to synthetic nanoparticles and microparticles in a system that's not evolutionary designed to essentially process them. So the toxicology is really governed by the dose, the duration of exposure, the distribution, as well as the detoxification capacity. Some people have small detox capacity, others have a really big detox capacity. And so there's an analogy I'll share in a second about that. But somebody with, let's say, metabolic syndrome, or somebody that already has a lot of chronic inflammation, or they already have gut barrier function, dysfunction. All of this creates an increased burden that these microplastics will have. We know that the microplastics also reduce antioxidant capacity in your body because your body is fighting to get rid of them. And we also know that if you have microplastics in your body, you may be more susceptible to the cumulative effects of what microplastics do over time. So this isn't something that we should panic about. It's something that we actually should do something about because we know the cumulative risk and the bioaccumulation of microplastics and nanoplastics in our body is a concern. So let's look at the goal here. The goal is not zero exposure, it's to reduce the burden, okay? And here are the most effective real world exposure reduction strategies. For water, reverse osmosis, distilled water, remineralized and restructured is optimal. It removes the majority of these microplastics. Activated carbon reduces some, but not all. Bottled water often contains more microplastics than filtered or tap water. So you want to stay away from bottled water. And just to be transparent, if I'm going through an airport, haven't drank water in several hours, and I had to dump all of my water in my glass water bottle or my stainless steel water bottle going through the airport, I will buy an Evian, or I will buy an Icelandic or a Fiji water at the airport, right? So this is my myofascial release water bottle that I carry with me everywhere. And so, definitely filter your tap water. Install a high quality reverse osmosis filter or verified microplastic filtration system. You have to remineralize the water afterwards, and ideally you restructure the water as well. I think a company to help restructure the water, UHM is one of them. And then the VitaJoule is a pretty cool technology as well that you can look into. All right, so you never want to microwave food in plastic. Heating accelerates particle release. Avoid hot liquids in plastic containers. And what we do is we have glass containers. You can actually get glass containers with glass lids because all the glass containers in our house have plastic lids. And what we do in respect to protecting yourself from the hot food or food just even touching the plastic is we put parchment paper over top and then we lock the lid down. So again, avoid plastic foods and plastic containers as much as possible. Whenever we're using like a Ziploc bag, we're using a different brand now that will come to me in a second, but we typically, if it's a Ziploc bag, we'll put parchment paper inside the Ziploc bag and then put a bunch of the food inside the Ziploc bag so that nothing is touching the plastic. And so another big problem is tea bags. Some plastic-based tea bags release billions of particles per cup when exposed to boiling water. Now, I thought I was getting ahead of this, and I'm like, oh, this is a microplastic, bag. I'm not gonna use this bag. So then what I did was I ripped the bag open and I put the tea leaves in. And then as I'm drinking it, I'm like, how many microparticles of plastic did I just release into my, teacup? By opening up this plastic bag, because I'm like literally ripping the plastic bag to get the tea leaves, and I'm like, I just can't with this anymore. So again, what you want to do is use loose leaf tea or paper-based tea bags, ideally non-bleached, and that's a good way to be able to get your tea. In the kitchen, you got to get rid of those plastic cutting boards. They shed a bunch of plastic into your food. You want to replace it with teak, or you want to replace it with wood or stainless steel. And ideally, when you get the wood cutting boards, you want to get it uncured or not cured. And you can get organic curing oil on Amazon or just online. And that curing of the board will help to protect the board, but then you're not getting all of the toxic mineral oil, which is petrochemical based oil on the wood cutting board, which is another really important thing that you want to look at. And you can go on Etsy, you can go on these different sites and get an uncured board, and then you cure it afterwards with your own oil. Some people just put olive oil on if they can't find the organic cutting board curing oil. All right, so air is another big problem. Indoor dust is a major exposure source to microplastics and nanoplastics. Synthetic fabrics, they shed fibers, okay? This is why I'm not a big fan of Lululemon or Aloe or Rhone or some of these popular brands. They're synthetic fabrics. I'm getting rid of a lot of those out of my closet as I've learned, oh my gosh, these are toxic. They're getting into my body, but even if I'm, shaking it out, I'm producing a plume of microplastics in the air. That is also not good. So some of the best ways that you can get rid of the microplastics out of your indoor air, which is way higher than the outdoor air, is a HEPA filtration in bedrooms and living areas. Remove shoes indoors, vacuum regularly with HEPA filtration. And then again, you want to get rid of those synthetic fabrics, the microfabrics during washing. In fact, in my Longevity Leaders podcast, if you fast forward to around the 20-minute mark with Warren Phillips, we get into like 20 or 30 different really powerful brands that you can use that are all natural, that use natural dyes, that are really amazing for athletics, for bras, for underwear, etc. So you can check that out. So use laundry filtration bags designed to capture fibers as well. That can help as well. So food packaging is huge. Reduce ultra processed food. That has a lot of plastic, unfortunately, in it. Store food in glass or stainless steel. These are not extreme, behaviors, but there's some very high return adjustments there. And then ultimately, these small reductions compound over decades. So you can remove microplastics from being exposed in your home, but can you remove them from your body once they're in your body? So let's be precise. There is no specific supplement to prevent or flush out microplastics. Anyone claiming otherwise is speculating, right? There's some exciting things that anecdotally I've heard that are really powerful, but there are ways that you can optimize the elimination of these pathways. The body clears foreign material through fecal elimination, biliary extraction, which is your bile, right? Renal filtration through your urine, as well as pulmonary clearance as well, coughing and breathing it out. So strategies to support this physiology is adequate dietary fiber to enhance fecal elimination and bind the bile. And if you just eat more vegetables, that's one really good way to do that. More berries, more avocado has a ton of fiber in it. Hydration to support renal clearance is huge, and not drinking a bunch of toxic beverages with sugar. Sufficient protein to maximize liver detox capacity. And then the consumption of cruciferous vegetables will support the phase 2 detox enzymes. Regular bowel movements is also really important. Constipation increases retention time, which can then cause more microplastics to get into the body. And resistance training improves insulin sensitivity that actually reduces inflammatory load, which is really powerful. Now, what my friends and I have done is we've used saunas and we've pre and post tested our sperm to see that microplastics are coming out of our sperm and decreasing when we're actually using sauna over time. So sauna is a really good way to eliminate these nanoparticles and these plastics out of your body. Certain xenobiotics through specific microplastic evidence, the microplastic removal is really powerful as well. The evidence remains limited on that, but it's promising. So the other thing is ozone therapy and oxygen therapy has been anecdotally proven to reduce plastic in your body as well. And one of the things I'm really excited about is this, what they call this microplastic filter that filters your blood and it gets the microplastics out of your blood. It's only in Mexico right now. They're getting FDA clearance. It should come out a little bit later this year or next year. So I'm excited to be able to use that for patients as well. So don't chase dramatic detox protocols. Strengthen your system, strengthen your organs, strengthen your drainage pathways. The best detox is a resilient liver and regular bowel movements. I take Deliverance on a regular basis as a supplement. It's a liquid supplement. And then the last one that I like to take is Dose. It's DOSE, and it's really good to strengthen your liver and help with a lot of this. It's just a liquid you take once a day. So who should be most concerned? It's the people that are most vulnerable, right? And those groups include these following individuals. They include people that are overweight, people that are dealing with immune challenges, people that have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, that already have some sort of a chronic disease. So we definitely want to help people that don't have any of those conditions, but we also want to help those that do have those conditions understand this information. So please share this life-saving information with your friends, with your family. We'd love to get this out there. If you like this, click that bell button to get notified for more videos that come out, as well as please share this with other people. I want to thank you for watching, and I look forward to adding more value to you in the near future. Thanks so much.